Some very important news for you. You know, I'm on the front lines of the battle in courts in America, the political scene, the legal scene. And, you know, and sometimes it gets really dangerous out there in social media land. I had 250,000 subscribers that were wiped out on YouTube because I offended the gods of political correctness. And I've suffered suppression on various platforms, and you don't care. And who wants to hear people whine about this stuff? But I'm telling you, when you make a living and you've thrown your life into law and the courts sanction you, or into media and they cut out your legs from under you, it tends to sober you up because the message is shut up, don't say something, don't talk about that. It's like the devil bartering with you. Say, if you just don't preach against this, you'll have peace. Well, I've got a guest on today that's going to be, that is going through some real legal battles because he's fought on the front lines of freedom and in the COVID battles for people. And he's working right now on various other fronts and experiencing some real sanctions. And what's happening in the legal realm, I'm going to talk about a little bit later, is serious business because they're trying to silence the attorneys. But if you want to hear this interview, I'm telling you now, I will not put it on YouTube in its entirety. I will not put it on Facebook in its entirety. I'm not trying to provoke backlash on platforms where I could predict that this just not going to work. I will, however, have it on its entirety on Rumble. So if you're not following Lance Wallnau on Rumble, get over there because there's stuff over there you'll never see in its entirety on these other platforms. You could go to X. I'll put it there. Though for some reason, I'm under a very weird suppression there. I've got like 96,000 people, but only 2 people get to watch these videos. Nevertheless, it's going to be on my Lance Wallnau channel there on X. And you can always go to Apple Podcasts and Spotify to get the full version. You won't see my smiling pretty face, but you're going to hear my voice. So I encourage you to listen to this entire interview on those platforms, and I'll give you what little skeletal portions my editing crew permits on Facebook and on YouTube. But you want to go to lancewallnau.com/podcast if you want to find out how to get the entire version in an audio, because what he's going to talk about is the front lines battle, vaccines, stuff getting into your food, the courts, January 6th, and other subjects. Folks, one of the big things that I'm fighting all the time, you have no idea the battles I'm involved with that I don't talk about because I don't want to broadcast to my spying left-wing community that watches me like the Pharisees to see if Jesus would trip himself up saying something salacious or incendiary. And so I don't tell everybody on the air what I'm doing, but I did have a meeting with a group of serious funders who are saying, where's the battlefront right now that we need to be focusing on? And do you know what we came up with? The lawfare. It's obvious, right? They're going after Trump. They're putting Navarro. They put Navarro in prison. They're putting Bannon in prison. I mean, I see where this is going. Bankrupted Alex Jones. Bankrupted Giuliani. Wait a second. They're going after the lawyers. And this is what we came up with. We've got to start to vigorously fund proactively. And I'm not talking to you guys yet about this. I'm talking to the people that have the money out there. And I'm saying, we've got to start protecting the lawyers because, for one thing, if they don't have faith, if they're not Christian, and most of the guys that are taking the hits, that are fighting on the front lines, are the Christians. They're the ones taking the cases to the Supreme Court. You know why? The other guys put all that money and time into being a lawyer, and now they're going to be excommunicated from what they call like the white shoe corporate opportunities, the big bucks corporate opportunities, the Perkins Coys of this world, where the big dollars are made. If you're over there as a conservative lawyer trying to protect their interests, they're antagonistic to you. They'll even disbar you. They got one guy they're trying to take away, John Eastman. This is a prestigious scholar, a dean. They're trying to strip his credentials. See if they can take the lawyers away. Who's going to defend you? Who's going to defend you when the lawyers are running for the hills? And right now, baby, this is what they did. This is what they're doing it right now because they're telling a signal that anyone who wants to contest the last election, anyone to contest, election integrity, anyone who's going to show up defending Trump in the next cycle of election insanity, they're letting them know, Willa, just kiss your career goodbye. This is how the devil operates. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring in one man who has demonstrated to me consistency and courage on the front lines, even on the COVID subject especially, has he been ferocious and has not only done a service to all of us as a lawyer fighting for us, but I have to say, as a researching reporter. He gets into the granular details and comes and brings them back out. I think I ran into him on the Clay Clark circuit. Clay's a friend of mine doing the Reawaken tour, but then I've had him on for occasion. It's been too long since I've had him, but I'm in a chat thread every now and then. Text, I catch up and I see what he's up to, and I say, Tom, we got to get the nation behind you. Would you welcome Tom Renz, one of my favorite heroic patriot men of God, who is on the front lines of willing to lay down his life for the integrity of the legal profession. Tom, you got to give our people an update on the most recent battles. We haven't talked to you recently. Assume we know nothing. My audience says they cover a lot of subjects here, but for those first-time listeners, what should they be paying attention to in the post-COVID era?
Man, it is ugly, Lance, and to the tune of $14 trillion. That's what the U.S. government is estimated to have spent on COVID alone. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm honored, truly.
Hey, folks, remember what I said. When we get to a certain point, I have to stop the presses on Facebook and YouTube. But if you want to see the entire interview, you want to go over to Rumble, and you can catch it there.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.